Now, much music. Special Broken Taste Day.
Welcome to Much Music, everybody. I'm Denise Donlon. I'm your host tonight for a very, very special evening. We've got an intimate and interactive plan for you like you've never seen before, and not only because we have one of the world's, and I wouldn't even say Canadian, one of the world's best singer-songwriters, visual artists, creative artists of all time here with us tonight, but also because it is an intimate and interactive show, which means that you and you and you and you all get to play a part of it. We're going to be taking your phone calls, your faxes. We've got an email system set up that I'm going to give you all those numbers a little bit later on, so get your pencils ready. Some of these people here are going to be asking questions, and there's all these people there over by the window. Have you seen them? The window's sort of closed. I don't know, what do you think? Should we open the window and let them partake? You think? Ooh, a little hesitant. What do you think? Should we let them? Okay. The milk of human kindness runs through your bones. Okay, guys. Welcome to the show. Okay, now just a couple, no problem. You excited about being here?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, yeah. This is the moment of my life.
I think that she just spoke for pretty well everybody in this room. I don't want to mess around and listen to me palathering on for any longer, so I want you right now, I know it's going to be really tough to do, let's have a warm welcome for Joni Mitchell.
People here. You're making me so happy to be here, and now I have to sing like a sad song. I don't know, I gotta get into the mood here. Psych down, so to speak. This song came out of the last night of the LA riots. I pulled up behind a long white car. In LA, they tag their cars like in a personal manner, and this guy had the license plate, Just Ice. And I never really thought about that word quite in that manner, justice, just ice. So for the weeks that followed, and especially in the uproar we were in down there, not that I'm not a Canadian, I want you to know I live part of the year in British Columbia. I'm sort of like a bi-national, I guess you'd say at this point. I asked everybody I knew about justice. What is it? Everybody wants it. Nobody knows what it is. Well, nobody knows. They all know they want it, but nobody knows what it is. I even read Plato's Republic, which was based on the premise that if you built a just society, you could have justice. So Plato describes the Socratic just society, but it would be unjust to the likes of me because it was a society of specialists. You had to be either a painter, a poet, or a musician, but you couldn't tackle all three. So I would already be pinched in this society. So I don't know to this day what a just society or what justice is, but this is kind of what went down. Behind a Cadillac, we were waiting for the light. I took a look at his license plate. It said, just ice. It's justice, just ice, governed by greed and lust. Just the strong doing what they can, the weak suffering what they must, and the gas leaks, and the oil spills, and sex sells everything, and sex kills. Oh, sex kills. Doctors' pills give wear brand new wheels, and the bills bury her like an avalanche. And lawyers haven't been this popular since Robespierre slaughtered half of France. And Indian chiefs with their old beliefs know that the balance is undone. Crazy irons, you can feel it out in traffic. Everyone hates everyone, and the gas leaks, and the oil spills, and sex sells everything, and sex kills. Oh, sex kills. All these jack-offs at the office, the rapist in the pool, oh, and the tragedies in the nurseries, little kids packing guns to school, the ulcerated ozone, these tumors of the skin, this hostile sun beating down on the massive mess we're in, and the gas leaks, and the oil spills, and sex sells everything, and sex kills. Oh, sex kills. Sex kills. Sex kills. Sex kills. Betsy's blue, she says, and tell me something good. You know I'd help her out if I only could. Oh, but sometimes the light can be so hard to find. At least the moon at the window, the thieves left that behind. People don't know how to love, the taste didn't toss it. Turn it off and on like a bathtub faucet. Oh, sometimes the light can be so hard to find. At least the moon at the window, the thieves left that behind. I wish her heart, I know these battles deep in the dark when the spooks of memories rattle. Ghosts of the future, phantoms of the past, rattle, rattle, rattle in the spoon and the glass. Is it possible to learn how to care and yet not care? since love has two faces, hope and despair, and pleasure always turns to fear, I find. At least the moon at the window, the thieves left that behind. Moon at the window, they left that behind. At least they left the moon behind the blind. Moon at the window.
Yay. Well, I'm sure glad all you people are here to clap, because the last thing I want to do is have my voice come out over the loudspeaker after that. Thanks, Joni. I wanted to ask you one question, because when we're going to be asking questions from everybody here in the house, and phones and faxes, and we got an email set up, and people have been typing for days out there. The first song, Sex Kills, was from the new album, Turbulent Indigo. And until I got here today and actually saw the picture of the album cover on the screen, so I knew that how it was connected there. But before that, I was thinking about the words turbulent and indigo, and I had this mental picture of like a therapeutic finger paint, you know, that's like round and round in circles, like this vortex. Where does it come from?
Turbulent indigo? The swirl of Van Gogh's brushstrokes, basically, yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
They attribute it with madness, but I don't think so. You know, it's just fluidity.
And this there's a Canadian connection, I understand here, the Canadian Council on Making Van Gogh conference you attended?
You want to open that can of worms? Okay.
I don't know, was it a can of worms?
Well, let's see, how can I say this briefly? Well, I got invited on the 23rd of May a few years back to speak from my heart, was the way it was put to me, about art and education to address the Canadian Council of the Arts in my hometown of Saskatoon. Now, the 23rd of May is the day before my mother's birthday. She shares that birthday with Bob Dylan and Queen Victoria, extreme moralists, a lot of them, you know. So I thought, well, this would be good. I'll book myself home, you know, so I can spend my mom's birthday with her. So I got up there, and they told me speak from the heart, and we went over it. I said, well, I'm going to tell about an excellent teacher, a killer great teacher that I had in the 7th grade, Kratzman, and then I'm going to be critical of the Alberta Institute of the Arts. It would not make available the knowledge that I needed when I got there. Fine, they said. So at the time, I had attempted to quit smoking, which I've done many times in my life. And because I wasn't smoking, I couldn't write anything. So I said, I'm just going to go off the cuff on this. And I'll give these 2 examples, good education and bad education, in my opinion, and then we'll throw it open to questioning. Fine, they said, you know. So when we threw it open to questioning, I got some questions like, you know, what other famous people do you know? You know, and I was I thought, who are these people? You know, I'm sure that there are bright people out in this room, but they seemed not to be speaking up. The pamphlets, there were 8 topics of discussion for the week, and I was like the dessert speaker. 2 of those topics were offensive to me. One of them said, now that the arts are being taught in the high school level in Saskatchewan and I believe BC, does that mean that we have to become artists in order to teach arts? I thought, well, yeah, you know, you should know something about it, you know, like. And the second one showed me, like, where government funding comes from, you know, like the government. You know, I know from myself that the art school in Alberta was shoved in with auto mechanics and cafeteria cooking. It was like, well, if they can't do anything else, surely they can do something decorative, you know. So the topic of discussion was, we're going to make Van Goghs out of women, immigrants, and the Canadian native. You know, Canada's useless. Well, what do we do with them? You know, like the women, they won't stay home and cook and clean anymore. You know, well, maybe we can get them to bind wheat into Christmas ornaments. Okay, we'll give some money to that, you know. But it was all under the banner of we're going to make Van Gogh. So I found myself, the painters were the first to walk on me, and basically what they said, it was in the news the next day, we don't need some pop singer, some rich pop singer who left the country years ago, which is not true, standing up there and telling us that she's a serious artist, you know. So they walk. They all look like the Smith brothers. You could always spot them, you know. They get all this facial fur, you know. So I found the whole thing upsetting, and basically what I said to them was like, you know, and I think this is true. You cannot make an artist. You can make a person who can tie wheat into little neat Christmas ornaments, but an artist is born, you know, they're born with an artistic attitude, and they're born to be the axe for the frozen sea within us, you know. They're born to be in conflict, they're born to be an alien, they're born to be an outsider, you know. And so the song Turbulent Indigo and the album cover, you know, which looks kind of like Katharine Hepburn, but it's actually it's not a fashion item, that bandage. There's going to be a little mini ear, like a Cracker Jack prize fall out of the first 10,000 copies.
I'm so thrilled to hear. You know, people don't know you're this funny. They have no idea.
I know, it's like drama is what I'm known for, you know.
Joni, the thespian, great. Now, okay, well, it's been great talking for me from just one question here, but we're going to let the rest of the country talk, and I'm just going to nip over here, because we have an email system come up, and I'm going to grab your question from the email. Cool? So, and here's Sean over here. Sean's been collecting questions. Have you got something?
We sure do. We've got a question from Eric J. Eric is emailing us from San Francisco via the well. His first question to Joni is, a friend told me recently that you often take an extremely long time to write down phrases or words while you are writing a song, that you often sit smoking with your pen poised to write and in intense concentration. What carries you off to that level of concentration, and to what do you owe your ability to create the high poetry of your songs?
Well, I think I'm autistic, you know. Things stick in my craw, and they rotate endlessly, and if I don't clear them, you know, like I could go mad. So, and I want to clear them in an interesting manner, and the arts seem to be the answer to that. Yes, I do smoke endlessly. Yes, I do not so much rewrite as write copiously and then condense. You know, a lot of these themes are very, very large, and people don't like long songs, so they have to be condensed down to 3 verses. Does that answer it?
That's very good, yes. Well, people at home want to participate too, so we're just going to roll a tape here. This is how you call us. Here are the phone numbers and the fax numbers to get a hold of us tonight.
If you would like to get intimate and interactive with Joni Mitchell for questions and comments, the toll-free number to call is 1-800-265-MUCH. That's 1-800-265-6824. By fax, the number to call is area code 416-591-MUCH. That's area code 416-591-6824.
Okay, that's how you do it. We got a question from the audience here. Anybody?
Yes, I want to know what inspired Magdalene Laundries.
Oh, well, I live in British Columbia as much as I possibly can. Because I'm absent, sometimes I have a man named Hans who, he and his family caretake my place. And Hans, sucking on his pipe, said to me one day, you know, Joni, you're basically a cheerful person, but you write these melancholy songs. He said, seems to me that you should write more in the daylight. You're always writing at night. So I sat out in the sun on a rock, and I tuned my guitar to the sound of that day, because I play in open tunings like ragas. So I tuned to the crows and the seagulls and the sonic references available. And it was a fairly cheerful chord progression. You know, well, a little melancholy in it, because beauty has a little. But anyway, I intended to write quite a cheery lyric to it. Well, I went to the supermarket to get my groceries, and standing in the line between the Inquirer and the Star was the Vancouver Sun. And I never bought a paper in my life. What possessed me, I don't know. But I picked this paper up, and I never got past the first page. To the left hand of the page was a story out of Ireland, that the Sisters of Our Lady of Charity outside of Dublin, which was a nunnery, had sold 11.5 acres to realtors. The realtors, in plowing this land for development, unearthed over 100 bodies in unmarked graves. thus opening up a scandal that had rocked Dublin from, they said, 1800 to 1970. These laundries were closed. Basically, the Magdalene Laundries, which stood outside of, there was every major Irish town and maybe some minor ones, took as slave labor fallen women. Fallen women were classified as the obvious, I guess, prostitutes, unmarried mothers, frequently impregnated by their parish priest, their father, their brother. But the worst of all was that an unmarried woman in her late 20s, if the men of the village were looking at her, she could be deemed a Jezebel by the parishioners and even her own family for her indecisiveness in choosing a mate, and incarcerated for life, or at least until somebody managed to get her out of there. This was cheap labor. Dickensian conditions was the way it was described. Well, you know, there went my cheerful song. So, I mean, this is the story of the Magdalene Laundries. I was an unmarried girl. I just turned 27 when they sent me to the sisters for the way men looked at me. Branded as a Jezebel, I knew I was not bound for heaven. I'd be cast in shame into the Magdalene Laundries. Most girls come here pregnant, some by their own fathers. Bridget got that belly by her parish priest. We're trying to get things white as snow, all of us woe-begotten daughters, in the steaming stains of the Magdalene Laundries. Prostitutes and destitutes and temptresses like me, fallen women sentenced into dreamless drudgery. Why do they call this heartless place Our Lady of Charity? Oh, charity. These bloodless brides of Jesus, if they had just once glimpsed their room, then they'd know. And they'd drop those stones concealed behind their rosaries. They wilt the grass they walk upon, they leech the light out of a room. They'd like to drive us down the drain at the Magdalene Laundries. O'Connell died today. She was a cheeky girl, a flirt. They just stuffed her in a hole. Surely to God you'd think at least some bells should ring. One day I'm gonna die here too, and they'll plant me in the dirt like some lame bulb that never blooms come any spring. No, not any spring. spring, not any spring, not any spring.
That worked out really well. It's almost like we planted that question over there.
What's that?
It's almost like we planted that question over there. We did an honest question song. Let's see if it works as well over here. Question here. Hi.
How are you? Fine, thanks.
What's your name?
My name's Patsy.
Hi, Patsy.
Hi. I have a question that has, again, to do with the process of songwriting. It's kind of two parts. First of all, do you approach the music and the words simultaneously? And is that a process that takes over hours, days, months? How does that writing work?
Well, everything's different. At the extreme end of the long time to make a song happen, I had a song on the last album called 2 Grey Rooms, which took 7 years to get the libretto to. It wanted to be written in French. It wanted French diphthongs. The music came first, and ideally, long, don, don, those vowels would have been best with that melody. I have another one that wants to be written in Spanish or Italian. It wants O's at the end of sentences sonically. So once I get that bee in my bonnet, it makes it more difficult to parquet. Sometimes they come together. Usually the music comes first because it offers up a more challenging rhyme scheme. It also shows me where I can put my descriptive passage, where I have to be direct, where my pockets of irony lie. You know, it lays down restrictions. It makes it a harder puzzle, which I enjoy.
A French diphthong. I've always wanted one of those myself, actually.
For your very own.
Joni, we have what we call Speakers' Corners here in Canada. There's one out in the corner, and there's a couple going across the country. And we alerted the people who work the Speakers' Corners that you were coming in, and so we've got some questions for you. Here's one from a Speakers' Corner, and I don't know where it's from, actually. It might be from Toronto.
Are you proud to be a Canadian? I'm proud that you are a Canadian. And have your feelings towards Canada changed over the years at all?
I travel so much, and I have friends in so many countries that borderlines feel strange to me in a certain way, and I think that they cause a natural separation in a certain way. I'm annoyed with borderlines, I think, more than I was born in Saskatchewan. When I go back there, there's no place that is going to stimulate me and excite me like where I came from. I feel that Canada is harsh on its young artists, or it was in the beginning, that because of the chip, that in the beginning that people didn't recognize that I was good. As soon as I crossed the border, they thought I was great. Then I got too big for my britches, and everybody like kind of wanted to put a lid on me. I think that the Canadian chip, you know, that I think we are such a great country. I live in British Columbia, in answer to your question. I'm not an expatriate. I spend as much time as I possibly can there. I can't really go home because people are funny about success. And although I have some lifelong friends from there, 2 or 3 fellas, you know, who've come and camped in my house when I had lunatics coming over my wall, like brothers, you know. Like, some people have been able to know that Joan Anderson still exists within Joni Mitchell, but very few people know that. They measure their own personal acquisitions and attainments against mine. We have a cottage at the lake, they'll say, all lit up. Of course, it's nothing like Malibu, they'll say. You know, like, I can't do anything about them. You know, I say, but I know what a cottage at the lake is. I know it has kerosene. That's wonderful, you know. Like, you can try and equalize yourself, but they won't let you. Also, I'm culturally different. I've lived in a warm climate where freedom of a much more affectionate climate than I grew up in. The long, cold winters and the Scottish and the Irish blood create an emotionally withholding people. I found it restrictive there as a child for that reason. I'm more, you know, like open-hearted by nature. I like the affection of warmer climates. I like climates where people say "I love you" to each other, and it's not jive. It's not the Hollywood kissy poo. You can tell, it isn't,
Yes, the Hollywood Kissy Poo litmus test. I think we should all have one of those when we walk around. We're going to take a commercial right now, and when we come back, you'll have a lot more Joni Mitchell, a lot more intimate and interactive questions, and a lot more music. Stay tuned. With Joni Mitchell. We've had some great conversation and great music already tonight, and I know there's lots more to come. We've got a phone call, actually. Who's on the line?
Hello?
Hello, hi. Hi, David, how are you?
Fine.
Good, have you got a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what's your question, David?
Joni?
Yeah.
I saw you at the Edmonton Folk Festival this year. I just want to say this, and I really liked your performance.
Thank you very much.
It was really good.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm 16 years old, and I'm a guitar player.
Okay.
And I want to make it in, I want to, take a career as a musician.
Okay.
I was wondering what advice you'd have in that area.
Practice.
No open tunings, would that be good advice?
I wouldn't know, that would be bad advice. Open tunings are a pain in the butt. It's like a typewriter that the letters move around on you every time that you sit down to it. But it does cough up original harmonic movement. If you want original harmonic movement and you're willing to confuse your left hand completely, then go for it. Just twiddle the pegs until you like the chord and then search for the shapes within it.
Got that, David? Were you writing that down?
Yeah.
Okay, now go practice.
Joni?
Yeah.
Thank you for your music, eh?
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Now, guitar wasn't actually your first instrument, was it? I read that you started on the piano and then picked up a baritone ukulele.
Baritone ukulele.
By choice, you picked up a baritone ukulele.
Well, no, by finance I picked up a baritone. I couldn't afford a guitar, so I had to sacrifice 2 strings. $36 for a baritone ukulele it was, and it was considerably more for a guitar. Yeah, I took a year of piano lessons, I think a year and a half, grade 2 piano, I think I got that far. But they wrapped my knuckles, which was not just singling me out, it was the style of teaching at the time. It was quicker for me to play, I could grasp it quicker, learn it quicker by ear, so that I wasn't reading properly. And what they did to all piano players that I have talked to at that time was to slam them with the ruler. And I thought, oh, gee, this lesson conflicts with Wild Bill Hickok, and given my druthers, I'd rather listen to Wild Bill Hickok on the radio than have my knuckles wrapped. So that was the end of my piano playing for many years until I made my first record, and I attempted an overdub on that. But the piano came back. As a child, I wanted to compose. I heard melodies in my head, but that was considered, my teacher said to me, well, why would you want to play by ear when you can have the masters under your fingers? Well, I said, well, I get these melodies in my head that I would like to get out. I just want enough chops so that I can get them out. But that was misunderstood in a small community.
Yeah, it's often restrictive rather than evolving, isn't it?
Yeah. Creativity, I think, generally, in terms of lessons, gets overlooked for tradition. So anything original is kind of repressed and mistaken for something else. I don't know.
Let's change all that. We have a fax here. Dear Joni, your beautiful words of music have inspired and touched me in too many ways to mention. Your musical poetry has been the background to all of the important events of my life. That happens a lot, eh, people? Yeah.
Music has a power, if it's not me, it's someone else, but we all have a backdrop for a score to our lives, that's for sure.
Bonnie Gladstone would like to know if you have any plans to tour or do live concerts in the future.
Well, I'm sticking my toe in the water, aren't I? I am feeling it out, perhaps, maybe.
Not giving anything away right yet. We're going to walk over to the email and see what we've got over there. And then, as soon as we do this email question, Joni, we're going to have another couple songs, I hope?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope
Who we
so
got
too.
here, Sean?
This time we've got Leah Weston from New York City. Just for your information, we've got over 20 emails so far, so we're getting quite a bit of response. Leah's question is, Dear Joni, you've had a number of famous collaborations in the past. My favorite was
What
with
other
Tom
famous
Scott.
people do you know?
Have they had a lasting impact on your music, and are you planning any in the future?
A lasting impact. No, the only thing that lasting and impacting, I guess, is chasing something fresh. I don't know. Lasting and impacting. That's so static. Let me just explain, like, when I used to record at A&M, there were like several studios there, and if someone was playing across the hall and I stuck my head in and it sounded good to me, I'd drag him in and make him sing on my record or play on my record, you know. Since I record in my house now, and there's no one across the hall really, like, to drag across, so I've gotten into kind of casting. You know, I cast Billy Idol as a bully on one song because I thought he had the appropriate voice for that particular scenario. They're not just chosen arbitrarily, they're chosen because they're the right color. And fame doesn't mean that much to me.
The actual vocal quality or what they bring. You're going to do a song now that comes from a famous collaboration.
I am?
Hejira, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Jocko, my...
Here we go. Hejira, Joni Mitchell.
Traveling in some vehicle, I'm sitting in some cafe, a defector from the petty wars that shelf-shock love away. There's comfort in melancholy when there's no need to explain. It's just as natural as the weather in this moody sky today. In our possessive coupling, so much cannot be expressed. So now I am returning to myself. These things that you and I suppressed, I see something of myself in everyone, right at this moment of the world. As snow gathers like bolts of lace, come waltzing on a bridal girl. You know it never has been easy. Whether you do or you do not resign, whether you travel a breadth of extremities or you stick to some straight line. Now here's a man and a woman sitting on a rock. They're either gonna thaw out or freeze. Listen, I thought I heard Miles Davis coming through the snowy trees. I'm porous with travel fever, oh, but I'm so glad to be on my own. Still the slightest touch of a stranger sets up a trembling in my bones. Oh, I know no one's gonna show me everything, each so deep and so superficial. Between the forceps and the stone, I looked at the granite markers, those tributes to finality, to eternity. Then I looked at myself here, chicken scratching for a piece of immortality. In the church they light the candles, and the wax rolls down like tears. There is the hope and the hopelessness I've witnessed all my very many years. We're just particles of change, I know. We're just orbiting around the sun. But it's hard to keep that lofty point of view when you're bound and tied to someone. White flags of winter chimneys, waving truce against the moon. In the mirrors of a modern bank, from the window of my hotel room, right, traveling in some vehicle, not that one, sitting in some cafe, a defector from the petty wars until love sucks me back that way. Fool for love. When I was 13 in Saskatoon, I had two best girlfriends. One was Jewish and one was Indian. And my Indian girlfriend, her name was Mary Waddington, her parents had died, I think, in a reservation fire, and she had been adopted into a foster family. When I first moved to Saskatoon from North Battleford, I thought she was rich because she had a TV set. Everybody I knew in North Battleford that had a TV set owned their own business, and that was rich. So when I got there, I realized, gee, they were living in a wartime house just like us. Anyway, Mary and I became best. Our play involved, we were in the swimming club together, we painted together, and we also went to the Grand Trunk Bridge together. That's Saskatoon, my hometown, is it's called the City of Bridges. And the Grand Trunk Bridge had a lot of youth bravado rights to it, as did the Broadway Bridge. And this song is set in the Broadway Bridge. At the age of 13, I discovered bigotry. They don't teach you that till you get to be 13. My Jewish girlfriend's parents sent her off to summer camp because I was introducing her to Goy boys. And Mary's foster father molested her, and she took refuge in the Broadway Bridge when no one would take her into their home because basically we learned at that point that she was a dirty Indian. Mary, innocent victim of a crime, ended up in a reform school, basically through no fault of her own. And when she came out, the only place for her were the crime families of our town, the Ouellets and the Trotskys, who were Métis Indians.
What happened to her, I don't know. The name Cherokee Louise is poetic license, but Mary, wherever you are, this song is for you.
Cherokee Louise is hiding in this tunnel in the Broadway bridge. We are crawling on our knees. We've got chocolates and cheese. We've got cold cuts from the fridge. Last year, about this time, we used to climb up in the branches just to sway there in some breeze. Now the cops on the street, they want the Cherokee Louise. People like to talk, tongues are wagging over fences, they're wagging over phones. All their doors are locked, she can't come to our house, but I know where she'll go. To the place where you can stand and press your hands like it was bubble bathing, dust piled high as me, down under the street. My friend, poor Cherokee Louise. Ever since we turned 13, it's like a minefield, walking to the door. Going out, you get the 3rd degree. Coming in, you get the 3rd World War. Tuesday after school, we put our pennies on the rails as the train rolled by. We were jumping round like fools, going, look, no heads, no tails. Go and look, my lucky prize. She runs home to her foster dad. He opens up his zipper and he yanks her to her knees. Oh, please be here, please, my friend, Cherokee Louise. Cherokee Louise is hiding in this tunnel in the Broadway bridge. We are crawling on our knees. We've got Archie and silver screen. We got cold cuts from the fridge. She's in the place where you can stand and press your hands like it was bubble bathing, dust piled high as me, down under the street. My friend, oh, Cherokee Louise. Cherokee Louise. Cherokee Louise. Cherokee Louise. Cherokee Louise.
There you go, Cherokee Louise. We're going to be coming back with a lot more music, a lot more talk, and we haven't given you the email address yet, so here it is. Here's the email address, and we'll be talking to you on the email as well. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Intimate and Interactive with Joni Mitchell. We are having an unbelievable, wonderful night here tonight. And it's partly because of all the people who are gathered here tonight. And we've got an audience question here from, hi.
Hi, Joni. I'm Brad. I'm from your hometown,
Is that
Saskatoon.
right? You're a Saskatoonian?
I see your father at the golf course every day.
Is that right? Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah, he's trying to beat his age, you know.
I think he does that. I was just wondering, how and where did you start playing in Saskatoon? What type of venues? And how do you go from there to playing Carnegie Hall?
Oh, gee, well, I started as a waitress in the Louis Riel, which is down on Broadway there. Do you know where that used to be? And one night, I had a baritone ukulele. Basically, I had no ambition to be a performer because that was kind of unheard of coming from there, and at that time to be a woman, it was kind of, no, it wasn't in my mind. You know, basically I learned to play ukulele to accompany bawdy drinking songs at Waskasiu, you know. So anyway, one night the act didn't show up and they said, you know, you're the only one here who can play, you got to go on. So I trembled through this little set, you know. It was a reluctant beginning. It was not what I had in mind, you know. Then in PA they took a moose hunting show off the air at 11 o'clock one night and stuck me on for an hour. So those were my beginnings. How you get there from Carnegie Hall, I guess, is just tenacity.
Great, thanks, Brad. Great question. Great question. Hi, everybody. We're going to take a Speaker's Corner question now. This is from Montreal, I believe.
Hi, I'm Claire in Montreal, and I'd like to ask Joni Mitchell, do your personal relationships have an influence on your music?
Joni?
How's that for brevity? You have to be brief now.
She said, are you kidding? For the break. Actually, maybe I could turn that question around a little bit. The thing that's interesting in it, and it was great the way you introduced Cherokee Louise like that, is because obviously personal relationships and life in general and everything we experience has an effect on you, your painting, your music, all of that. Mm-hmm. But I think that maybe one of the things that's been odd for you is that a lot of your audience still has trouble distinguishing fiction from reality and and made-up characters. Yeah.
Well, none of it is fiction, but not all of it is autobiographical. Yeah. So, you know, like I sing in first person many different characters. You have to think of me more as a playwright and an actress. You know, so the playwright, yes, does draw off personal experience, but also, like in the case of the Magdalene Laundries, draws off things that I have empathy for. I am Lakota, for instance. You know, I'm not a Lakota Sioux. I have Indian blood, although my parents deny it. Sami, European Indian, not quite the same thing. Some of them are blonde, you know, but whatever it is, like, you know, you deny your Indian blood on the prairie. It's like low caste. There's an elaborate caste system out there. So they, Mom, Dad, you know, yes, I'm a liar. We don't have it.
Great. Yeah, that wouldn't happen if you were writing a short story. I guess people would make that distinction.
No.
The voices in my ear, Joni, are talking to me, and they're saying, "Would you please play a song and quit talking, Denise? Get off the camera." Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay.
Let's see, what shall I play here?
Once in a while, in a big blue moon, there comes a night like this, like some surrealist invented this 4th of July night ride home. Hula girls and caterpillar tractors in the sand. Fireworks this 4th of July night ride home. I love the man beside me. We love the open road. No phones till Friday. Far from the overkill, far from the overload. Back at the bar, the band tears down, but out here in the headlight beams, the silver power lines, they gleam on this 4th of July. Night ride home. Sorry about that chord. We come around the curve in a big dark horse, red tail lights on his hide, is keeping right alongside. Rev for stride, 4th of July. Night ride home. I love the men beside me. We love the open road. No phones till Friday. Hallelujah. Far from the overkill, far from the overload. Once in a while, in a big blue moon, there comes a night like this, like some surrealist invented this 4th of July. Night ride home. On the night ride home. Song for all lovers in apartments or with their families, God forbid. It was co-written by my fellow Saskatoonian Donald Freed. It was a dark and a stormy night. Everyone was at the wingding. Weren't the wingding type, so they went up on the train bridge where the weather was howling, and oh my mind, when that train comes rolling by, no paper thin walls, no folks above, no one else can hear love's cries. And they were dancing in the rain. They knew their love was a strong one when they heard the far-off whistle of a train. They were hoping it was gonna be a long one, 'cause my mind, when that train comes rolling by, no paper thin walls, no folks above, no one else can hear love's cries. In the back booth of an all-night cafe, 2 dripping raincoats are hanging. Outside in the weather, the shade on the streetlight is clanging, and they smile year to year, eye to eye. Ice cream is melting on a piece of pie, and oh my, no one else can hear love's cries. Every kiss was sweet and strong. Every touch was totally tender. When that train come rumbling along, they sang a lover's song while the band in the wall. Oh, my, when that train comes rolling by, no paper thin walls, no folks above, no one else can hear love's cries. No paper thin walls, no folks above, no one else can hear love's cries.
Thank you, sweet people. We'll be back with more Joni Mitchell right after this. We're back and intimate and interactive with Joni Mitchell. A fabulous evening we're having. Hope and everybody's enjoying it here. I know they are, so hope you're enjoying it at home too. Who was that guy that was just over here hanging around?
That's my friend Ed Begley, who's in town doing a movie here.
Oh, excellent. Well, welcome. Welcome to Much Music.
To see him here. And Jane Sibrey.
And Jane Sibrey's here, yeah.
I'm glad to see you. There's people I know
and
here.
Moberg and Lorraine. It's just full of friends all over the place. The whole country is full of friends, Joni. It's wonderful that you're here. Really. And I think we have a friend calling in right now. We've got somebody on the phone. Hi, what's your name? Hello on the phone.
Hello, yes, this is me. My name is Shauna, and my question is for Joni. Hi, Joni. I'd like to know if when you were younger and daydreaming
about that.
Where you would be, when you were daydreaming about where you would be, the level that you are today.
Oh, I didn't daydream about that.
Oh, not at all?
No, no.
You had melodies in your...
I had melodies in my head, but I didn't think... I just wanted to get them out. I didn't have career attached to it, you know? As a matter of fact, I had an interesting insight considering the position I'm in now at the age of 16. I was sitting under a dryer getting ready for a prom, and they were doing a beehive on me, you know, with sparkle dust in the center of it that would like itch later, and you'd have to go at it with a rat tail comb. It was like way down under the hairline, you know, like, and Sandra Dee and Bobby Darin were kind of like the king and queen, like of the magazines. They were the cover girl and boy at the time. And they were really like raking them over the coals with about some kind of marital thing, you know, like scene fighting in public. And I had an assignment. I had to write a poem. I did write some poetry voluntarily, but mostly it was under duress. And I had this poem I had to write. So I wrote a poem about Hollywood, sitting in Saskatoon under a hairdryer. It was called the Fishbowl. It went like this. It was blank verse, you know. It was very modern. It went, the fishbowl is a world reversed where fishermen with hooks that dangle from the bottom up reel down their catch without a fight on gilded bait. Pike, pickerel, bass, the common fish ogle through distorting glass. See only glitter, glamour, gaiety. Fog up the bowl with lusty breath. Lunge towards the bait and miss and weep for fortune lost. Envy the goldfish? Why? His bubbles breaking round the rim while silly fishes faint for him.
My God. Fascinating.
I think I was smarter when I was 16.
Great.
Great, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got a question. Who's got a question here in the audience? We'll just dive right in. Hi, you're right. I don't even have to walk. What's your name?
I'm Mary. Hi, Joni. I wanted to ask you about your collaboration with Seal. I recently heard a second LP, and I was thrilled to hear your harmonies in the background. How did that come about?
Seal and I met a while back. He found himself in the pop arena almost by accident, and he felt he was doing his growing pains in public, and he had chosen me as a standard, and he was saying so in the press, and there came a party for him in Los Angeles, and I was invited, and when we met, we went into a very fluid dialogue immediately. We met in a preteen kind of way. Our children liked each other, and this friendship developed. And you know, the child within us. We got the man-woman thing, didn't enter into it, and we just started talking. So when first he sang on my album, and then he had this one song that he heard me on. At that point, his health was poor, and he was in Switzerland kind of recuperating. So he sent it to me. He was actually at my house to record on my album, but we did my part as a mailer. And ironically, at that time, I was under doctor's orders not to sing. I had some throat trouble, so I couldn't do very many takes. And I did the best I could under the circumstances, but it came out kind of nice. It's a different kind of singing for me. I never start off with the first word holding it out. My music is very conversational, very short, so it was a treat to sing a different kind of music like that.
You'll be hearing that on the new record when it comes out, Turbulent Indigo. Just thought I'd plug it there for a minute, if you don't mind.
We're here on the campaign trail.
We're getting close to the end of the show, and I wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity for you to play a couple more songs and maybe come back and take maybe a couple more questions depending on how we go. So, Joni, you ready? What do you think? Just like this train?
I'm always running behind the time, just like this train, shaking into town with the brakes complaining. I used to count lovers like railroad cars, I counted them on my side. Lately I don't count on nothing, I just let things slide. The station master shuffling cards, boxcars are banging in the yards. Jealous loving will make you crazy if you can't find your goodness, 'cause you lost your heart, 'cause you lost your heart. I went looking for a cause, or a strong cat without claws, or any reason to resume. And I found this empty seat in this crowded waiting room. I found everybody waiting. There's an old man sleeping on his banks, women with that teased up kind of hair, kids with the jitters in their legs and those wide, wide open stares. And the kids got cokes and chocolate bars. There's a thin man smoking a fat cigar. Jealous loving will make you crazy if you can't find your goodness, 'cause you lost your heart, 'cause you lost your heart. Well, I've got this birth and this roll down blind. I got this fold up sink and these rocks and these cactuses going by, and a bottle of German wine to drink. I'm gonna settle down into the clickety-clack with the clouds and the stars to read, dreaming of the pleasure I'm gonna have watching your hairline recede, my vain darling, watching your hair in clouds and stars, and rocking away in a sleeping car. Oh, jealous loving's gonna make me crazy. I can't find my goodness, 'cause I lost my heart. Oh, sour grapes, 'cause I lost my heart. Song. It's about the generation gap, which you'd think at a certain point would end, but mothers being mothers, they are always mothers. Mama, if you're listening tonight, I love you so much. This, unfortunately, is an honest tale of a conflict between a middle-aged woman, myself, and my mother. On a moral issue. I went so numb on Christmas Day I couldn't feel my hands or feet. I shouldn't have come, she made me pay for gleaming with Donald down her street. She put blame on him and shame on me. She made it all seem so tawdry and cheap. Oh, let's be nice, Mama. Open up your gifts, you know. Happiness is the best. Facelift. I mean, after all, she introduced us. Oh, but she regrets that now. Shacked up downtown, making love without a license. Same old sacred cow. She said, did you come home to disgrace us? I said, why is this joy not allowed? For God's sakes, I'm middle-aged, Mama, and time moves swift, and you know, happiness is the best. Facelift. Love takes so much courage. Love takes so much shit. He said, you've seen too many movies, Joni. She said, snap out of it. Oh, the cold winds blew at our room with you, so helpful and hopeful and candlelit. We kissed the angels and the moon eclipsed, and you know, happiness is the best. Facelift. pushed the bed up to the window to see the Christmas lights. On the east bank across the steaming river, between the bridges lit up Paris light. This river has run through both our lives, between these banks of our continuing delights. Oh, bless us, don't let us lose the drift. You know, happiness is the best. And facelift.
Thanks, Joni. I think I can hear a protest from the Society for Cosmetic Surgeons coming in actually right now. We're just going to talk to time at this bit. We got a couple more moments left to go. So here's a couple of faxes from Tracy Jones and Shauna Gray in Toronto. We've always liked your version of Woodstock better, so there. And, what are one or two of your favorite books and authors, and why?
Okay. First piece of literature I was introduced to by a teacher named Craftsman was Rudyard Kipling's Kim. I think it set my predilection. I think it broke a lot of barriers down. Here was an orphan kid with no guidance, all by his own, with no one to tell him that there were lines. He was able to move authentically through many communities, you know. That was a very inspiring book. And the Castaneda books also, all of them.
There was we talked a little bit earlier when I was asked to listen to the voices in my head and pay attention and get off the air, but is there a book for you? Because you write in such a narrative, descriptive style, and you know, songs obviously work so well because the music is there as well to help impart the emotionality you want. But is there a long form in the offing? Do you think you'd want to attempt that?
I tried writing short stories. I used to meet with a friend of mine, Peter Elbling. We had our first professional gig in Calgary together when we were 18, and he writes comedy in Los Angeles. We write short stories and from time to time get together and present them. I felt that I wrote in an adolescent voice. In the meantime, I wrote Catcher in the Rye, which is written in an adolescent voice and very well. For a while, I was prejudiced against my voice in that particular form. I've attempted it. I'll attempt it again.
I will look forward to that. Well, we're going to have to close up the show right now otherwise, because Electric Circus is just about to be on, and if we don't, you and I are going to have to bare our midriffs and jump on those risers.
Oh,
and,
no.
And I don't know about you, but I don't want to flick mine on the planet.
No. I'm 50, God forbid. It's like Doukhobors. Put it on, put it on.
So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, and I know from the heart of everybody who's in this room and everybody who's out there across the country, thank you so much for sharing this evening with us.
Thank you, Denise. My pleasure.
Any last questions? Oh, they're just going to clap forever. That's all they're going to do. We're out of here. We'll have a camera. We'll say goodnight. Okay. That's it. That's it.
Oh, it's your present. No, good for you.
Here, take the mic.
Another special moment, 10 years of special moments for Warner Music. Thank you to the MuchMusic. Nice to have Joni here again.
Thank you very much.
Oh, this is to us.
Oh, yes.
This is supposed to be to Joni.
No. This is your award moment, Denise.
They told me at the office. I just want to give you a piece of glass, but they said I had to bring Joni.
Thank you.
I think this is very opportunistic of you, Warner guys.
Well, thank you. Stan just said, welcome back to the family, to Joni. Okay, I'll take it off your hands. Great, thank you, thank you. We're 10 years old, for anybody who hasn't noticed already. All right. You can step on your show like that, I'll tell you.
I gave him permission, but I didn't think it was opportunistic, but I gave him permission anyway. That's how leal-hearted I am.
Sitting in some cafe.
Now do we have to say hello to Electric Circus? Should I go do that?
I defected from the petty
you guys
war.
enjoy. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, this has got to be the time.
When there's no need to explain, it's just as natural as the weather in this moody sky today.
You know you're perfect, boss.
And our possessive coupling, so much cannot be expressed. So now I am returning to myself. These things that you and I suppressed, I see something of myself in everyone.
Hi, this has been a Chum City production. That's the end of this show, and we're going to go on to that bouncy, fabulous show over there on the rises. Monica, have a great show on EC.
Denise, thank you. That was an amazing show. Hard act to follow, but we're going to try. Stay tuned to Much Music. Electric Circus is live right after this.